The human mind is a blessing and a curse. It gave us the ability to think and to express our emotions the way we want to feel. It's also a curse because those emotions can also be the problems in our lives. And if we know how our emotions are, yeah, they can go as many different ranges as they can. But, you always gotta wonder, as this movie taught us, what is going on inside our heads? Really? Like, what's going on up there? Really? What is it? Inside Out is directed by Peter Docter with a screenplay by Peter Docter, LeFauve, and Josh Cooley, and a story by Peter Docter and Ronnie Carmen. The film stars Amy Poehler, Phyllis Smith, Richard Kind, Bill Hader, Lewis Black, Mindy Kaling, Kaitlyn Diaz, Diane Lane, and Kyle MacLachlan. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, after young Riley is uprooted from her Midwest life and moved to San Francisco, her emotions, joy, fear, anger, disgust, and sadness conflict on how best to navigate a new city, house, and school. Most people, if not a lot, have really fallen in love with this film ever since it was released in 2015. Guys, this movie is approaching 10 years old. I was like 13 or 14 when I saw this film with my dad back in middle school. Oh, it's crazy how time flies by, but also how it slowly dawns on you. Oh my god, I'm old. Like, I'm starting to realize it after watching this movie. I saw this film back when it was released in theaters, like I said, and I was one of the people that, of course, loved this movie. I very much cherish this film in so many ways. And rewatching it, I still love it. I still think this is easily one of Pixar's best films to have come out in recent years, by far. And it's just so amazing to see that this movie still holds up in so many ways, and I love it to death. So here are the positives that I have. The voice acting is fantastic. Amy Poehler is delightful as Joy, one of Riley's emotions in the film. Poehler brings confidence and gleefulness to Joy that would come to an emotion that represents happiness in so many ways. There's just a warmth with Joy you just kind of automatically latch yourself onto that Poehler just knows how to reel you in with, and she just makes you want to feel comfort and safe, feel love, and for that I think she is amazing in the film. Phyllis Smith, who most people will recognize her, at least people my age, from something like The Office, is hilarious but also emotional as sadness. Smith balances being the comic relief at times and also being the heart of the film excellently. There are a few times in this movie where she had me laughing, but she also had me crying at certain portions, especially towards the end. And boy, oh boy, Pixar just knows how to hit you over the head with really trying to make you feel sad and depressed in a good way. Not in like a terrible way, but they just know how to do that. Both Poehler and Smith are terrific together and keeps the film interesting with their dynamic, because in this film you see both joy and sadness separate from the central control system of Riley's head. A little mishap happens, and so you see these two going on an adventure trying to get back there, and their dynamic is great. They really have good chemistry with each other. Richard Kind is silly and lovable as Bing Bong, an imaginary friend from Riley's childhood. We all have imaginary friends, so of course there would be one in this movie. But Kind knows how to bring warmth and kindness to a character that feels like a lifelong friend. In so many ways, we've all had imaginary friends that we've all grown up with and loved, cared for, because we've all wanted to express our emotions, or at the very least our concepts of what we would think a friend would be. And for that, Kind does a really good job with that. But I also think that he works well with both Poehler and Smith, who he accompanies to help them get back to mission control. And he's hoping that maybe in some way he can be remembered again. We grow older, imaginary friends kind of start to fade away in some way. As for the rest of the emotions, Bill Hader is entertaining as fear, Lewis Black is stubborn as anger, and Mindy Kaling is critical as disgust. All three are stellar together and are also good with both Poehler and Smith respectively, because in the beginning of the film you see how they all operate, and of course Joy being the central one of the film, she's the one that takes charge and pretty much dictates a lot of her life. And so this film really does explore the idea of dictating somebody's emotions in so many ways. But I think the dynamic of all of them in the film, at least in the beginning and then even towards the end, but really in the beginning, really sets up the dynamic that you see with where Joy is versus how she becomes near the end of them. The direction is perfect. Director Peter Docter brings his sharp eye and wit to the way he showcases how emotions work. True genius, the way the movie is shown due to his style. Peter Docter, of course, is now the head of Pixar, but before then he was somebody who was on the creative front as well as a director, somebody who really truly wanted to bring a lot of that care and loving nature to what a lot of Pixar movies are. And with this one, it's no exception. This guy really truly wants families, but also kids to really feel loved and to feel the same emotions as Riley goes through in this movie. And I think he does a great job of managing to balance out both the emotions and seeing Riley and her family. I think he does that very well. The animation is gorgeous. The amount of detailing and the different textures on each characters and the environments is all stunning. It still looks amazing after almost 10 years. Again, this movie is 10 years old, and yet this movie still looks amazing. So well detailed that it just blows me away every time on how much Pixar does a good job. If for nothing else, especially in this day and age, Pixar always tops themselves with regards to animation and the different stylings. And it's no different here, and it's no different how it is today on how they continue to push forward with regards to animation and different stylings of it. The music is beautiful. Composer Michael Giacchino crafts a score that blends in well with the emotions of the film. He still is one of the best composers as of recently. This man is a true genius as a composer. This man has had a lifelong career composing some of the best music in films, and this is no exception. He does a really good job with melodies, piano type of music, as well as orchestral music. The music in this film makes you really just, it can make you feel happiness, but it also can make you feel with emotion. And I think he does an exceptional job of making sure he blends it in well with the emotions throughout the movie of the different characters. The story is terrific. Following human emotions and how it depicts the human mind is heartfelt. All throughout this movie is just nothing but amazing touches of really pull at your heartstrings moments that you just kind of feel like, man, it's really getting to you. It really makes you laugh and it makes you cry. I mean, it's a Pixar movie. What else can you ask for? The writing is smart. Writers Peter Docter, Megan LeFauve, and Josh Cooley creates a script that feels impactful and entertaining, lines that will move families. The writing in this movie is so sharp and so confident that they're almost memorable in a way. The way in which characters interact feels natural. It feels right. It feels conversations that people would have, or at least conversations that adults have with kids. And I think because of the writing, it helps excel this movie so well than if it had been not very good at all. Pacing is insane. The film consistently continues to move without feeling rushed. With a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes, it's crazy the movie was able to pull off that length, because with a heavy concept like this, I didn't think it would be able in any way to pull off this type of storytelling in a short amount of time, and yet they found a way to do it, and it's fantastic all for them. The cinematography is stunning. Cinematographer Patrick Lynn manages to capture the wonder and beautiness of Riley's mind. Feels lively. The way the camera moves throughout this movie is crazy. It is so much central focus on making sure that it captures the mindset of a human, of how emotions and how feelings are, and how it processes information and what's going on through even a young girl's mind. I think is done stunningly beautiful, and it just really goes to show how much the focus is on making sure it captures it all. The editing is on point. Each scene is edited together well enough that it keeps the film consistent, feels just right. There's no point in this movie where the editing just feels sloppily put together or it felt like it was slow in certain points. No, it kept on going. It kept on going with that pacing, and for that, it's done exceptionally well. It's on track to being perfect, but there is something that does hold it back for me with regards to one thing. So here is my only negative with the movie. The other motion screen times do feel less. The film focuses on joy and sadness in their adventures, but that means fear, anger, and disgust of screen time is limited. They do contribute to the film, like the plot of the movie, but I just feel like how their screen time does feel less compared to joy and sadness. And for that, I wish they had given them a little bit more to do with the movie with regards to how they're feeling about certain things, how this and that. It's just something. I kind of wish there was more screen time dedicated to them. Besides that, this is peak Pixar at its finest. The film is gorgeous and spectacular all throughout. Definitely worth a watch. If you have not seen this movie, if you haven't shown this to your kids, I highly recommend it. It's Pixar at its finest, and for that, I love this movie. This movie will always be remembered for me, at the very least, especially during that time in my life when I was in middle school and I saw it. And it moved me then, and it still moves me now. I'm going to give Inside Out a 9 out of 10. It is such an amazing film, such an emotionally and heartfelt movie that really does move people in so many ways, no matter what age you are. In some ways, we all relate to Riley and her struggles and what her emotions go through, that it will just leave you tearing up in a happy way. So now I'm going to give my review for Inside Out 2, and yeah, look forward to that review and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.